Olympics? Here in Chaldea? Ritsuka asked. Yeah. Since it's already summer, I thought Chaldea could have their version of the Olympics humanity would do once every year. Think about it. A huge tournament between servants based on their skills and athletics without any death. That's something interesting. Da Vinci replied with a smile on her face. I see, but what made you came up with this, Da Vinci? Don't tell me you got interested into sports suddenly from watching TV. No. Rather, I was inspired by a certain servant who loved the Olympics. Ritsuka let out a small sigh. Let me guess, it was Nero that gave you the idea, huh? Da Vinci let out a chuckle. Yeah. She wanted to have an event like this, and actually, well, convinced me to plan an event like that. Henceforth, the reason why I'm asking for your permission to have Chaldea an Olympic event. Well, just one question before I make my decision. Did you ask the entirety of Chaldea's staff, which includes the director and Romani as well? Well, Romani accepted the idea because he wanted to see the Olympics himself for once, and Olga Marie, at first, she didn't like the idea and rejected it. However, when I told her how much profit it can make, she quickly accepted it. Ritsuka was surprised at the last sentence Da Vinci just said. Really? The director agreed with the Olympics in Chaldea? That's something new, he thought. Well, I'll accept it, but how are we going to do this? Da Vinci's smile grew even further. Well, leave that to me. Shirou was walking down the hallway, minding his own business. As he did, he came across two things that shocked him. One was a poster about the Olympics, and the poster itself has the Olympic symbol along with the words, Chaldea Olympics, on top of the poster, and on the bottom of the poster was the date, which said next week. The other thing that shocked him was that there was a large sign-up sheet, detailing each event ranging from running to archery to other things. As Shirou looked at the sign-up sheet, he noticed that there were other sports that were not included in the sign-up sheet, like kendo or something else. So, looks like next week, we'll having Chaldea's version of the Olympics, only with more sports and events than the regular Olympics. Well, this looks interesting to watch. I'm not going to sign up though. Hey Shirou, what are you looking at? A voice said behind him. Shirou nearly jumped upon hearing the voice from behind him. As he turned around to see who the person was, it was Jaguar Man. Shirou let out a small sigh upon seeing her. Fujine. Shirou, what are you looking at? Jaguar Man asked, interested in the sign-up sheet Shirou was reading. At the same time, she looked at the poster that was in front of her. Ah. We're having the Olympics? Here? Seems so. Shirou said as he tried to escape, but Jaguar Man caught him on the shoulder. As she did, she then looked at the list. What is this? She said as she looked over the list. As she looked at the list, she was amazed with what she was seeing. This is a sign-up sheet for the Olympics. And the sign-up sheet includes Japanese sports such as archery and kendo. Shirou, you must sign up for this. Especially in the archery section. Shirou let out a sigh. Really Fujine? He asked. Yeah. I bet the other archers here can't beat you in your archery skills. Fujine, this is nothing like the archery tournaments back in the time when I was alive. The archers here are completely different here. They're literally pros in their lifetimes. However, Jaguar Man wasn't listening, making Shirou groan at her actions. Fujine. Sorry Shirou. I was busy with something, Jaguar Man replied with a sheepish chuckle. With what? Isn't it obvious? I'm signing you up for the archery section of the Olympics. At that moment, Shirou mentally groaned. Damn it, Fujine. Within the next week, a huge portion of Chaldea was being transformed into a giant stadium that can house an entirety of a large country. The stadium itself was a modern stadium, filled with many servants and Chaldea staff. In the middle of the stadium was a racing track, and there was a podium with a giant goblet with a flame on top of it. In the stadium, many of Chaldea's servants and staff were excited, waiting to see Chaldea's version of the Olympics to start. Not only that, but on one side of the stadium was a giant desk/podium where Ritsuka, Gadako, Fo, Mashu, Da Vinci, Romani, and Olga Mari were watching. Wow! I can't believe this is happening right now. Olga Mari said in disbelief. To be fair, if humanity wasn't incinerated, this would have happened a lot earlier, Gadako said. Everyone beside Gadako looked at her with a surprised expression. That was a bit dark, wasn't it? Gadako asked. Why yeah. Da Vinci said. Anyways, isn't this exciting? Yeah. To think that we're having our own version of the Olympics, this is exciting. Romani said with interest in his voice. I know. I've heard about them from databanks, but I've never seen them before. I wonder what it looks like. Mashu said. Yeah. Considering the amount of heroic spirits that we have here, I wonder how it will look. Ritsuka said. Fo said. It was then that Nero's voice was heard from the speakers. I'm glad to see all of you gathered here, my fellow heroic spirits. What better contest of champions is there than the Olympics? Nero said. Everyone began to cheer. Of course, when it comes to the Olympics, one should always mention me since I am the flower of Olympia. And since I am the flower of Olympia, it was my duty to start the Olympics. Anyways, now that the introductions are not complete, let the games begin. In an instant, the crowd cheered. I can't believe that we're doing this. Lancer Siu said in amazement. And to think all of this was planned by that little missy over there. Indeed. To think that such a competition like this exists, it's quite interesting, Scathach replied as she was stretching her legs. Anyways, are you ready for this? Lancer Siu let out a smirk. Hey, this is something I was already made for. This should be a piece of cake. Scathach let out a chuckle. Don't get too cocky, Satanta. Hey, if you two are done talking over there, hurry up and get into the pole vaulting area, Leonidas said as he was walking down out of the hallway. Well, you heard him. Let's go, Scathach said. Alright, Lancer Siu said. Soon, both Scathach and Lancer Siu headed towards the middle of the arena, where the pole vault event was going to take place. As they did, they saw the contestants, which consisted of Leonidas, Fian Mat Kumhale, Diarmuid Ue Duabni, and many others. Wow, the number of servants here, most of them have Celtic origins. Well, that doesn't matter. Because I'm going to win. Alright, the first person to start of the event will be Siu Chulin. Siu, please come up to the stage and grab a pole. Siu then grabbed a nearby pole and prepped himself for the event. As he did, he then posed himself in signature pose. Ready, go. In an instant, Lancer Siu immediately ran, holding the pole as he was preparing to vault over a high bar. Great! With this speed, I can jump over the high bar. Here goes nothing. Soon, Siu reached the high bar, and he used the pole to jump. Yahoo! He yelled as he was in the air immediately from how high he jumped along with the speed he was in, which was really fast. However, there was one problem he was not expecting. He jumped too high, which meant he not only went over the bar, but he also went over the mattress as well. Whoa! This is a bit too high, no shit. And in that instant, he crashed into the ceiling, somehow knocking him out, and making him fall into the flaming goblet. Everyone beside the contestants let out a scream upon seeing him fall into the flaming goblet. Meanwhile with Ritsuka and the others. See you Chulain just died. Gudako yelled. You bastard. Olga Marie yelled in shock. Oh my, that's the weirdest accident I've even seen. Da Vinci said. Why yeah. Ritsuka, Mashu, and Romani said in unison. Fo. Fo said. This event should be a cinch, Achilles said with confidence in his voice. Hey, don't get too cocky you know. Overconfidence will be your downfall, Atlanta replied. Plus, I have more experience in running. All the more reason big sis. Speaking of which, should we have a race to see who's the fastest between us? Oh? You think you can beat me? You should remember my legend, and this time, there are no distractions here. Achilles let out a chuckle. Bring it on. Soon, both Achilles and Atlanta began to stretch. As they did, they noticed the other contestants, which consisted of Bradamanti, Jack the Ripper, Mochizuki Chiome, Danzo, Yen Qing, and in a surprise turn of events, Kiritsugu. Hey, can I ask you something? Achilles asked as he looked at Kiritsugu. Sure. What is it? Atlanta replied. Why is that robed assassin here? I can understand Bradamanti, Jack the Ripper, Mochizuki Chiome, Danzo, and Yen Qing joining this event, but why him? I have never seen this guy run before. Me neither, but it doesn't matter. After they were done, they began to head to the starting point of the track, where everyone else was. As they got into running positions, Nero began to do the countdown. On your mark. Both Achilles and Atlanta were looking at each other with competitiveness in their eyes. Get set. The two readied themselves to run. It was at that moment, a gunshot was heard, along with Nero yelling, Gio! Signaling the start of the race. In an instant, all the competitors began to race against each other, focusing on themselves, especially Achilles and Atlanta. Soon, it became a race between the two, and they had one thought in mind. I'm going to win. Soon, they were getting close to the finish line, giving it their all. However, it was then they saw something unexpected. Kiritsugu was almost close at the finish line, and in an instant, he crossed it. Goal! It's over! Nero yelled at the speakers. Both Achilles and Atlanta and everyone else were completely shocked at what just happened and had their mouths dropped. What the hell just happened, they all thought in unison. Meanwhile, Kiritsugu let out a small sigh. I can't believe IRI actually signed me up for this event, and why this event of all things? Well, let's just hope that nobody noticed me using Time Alter. I can't believe you're joining the Olympics. What gave you the idea? Emiya asked. Shirou let out a sigh. Well, blame Fujine for that. He replied. At that moment, Emiya sighed as well. I should have known. She's always been pestering us to rejoin the archery club back when we were alive. If anything, this is something she's been wanting to do for quite some time. Fair enough. Both of us needs to keep a close eye on her, or else she'll pull off something crazy. Yeah. Speaking of which, how did you get involved in this? Well, 2 reasons. One was that I want to test my archery skills against the other archers in Chaldea. And the other reason was that, well, Mom signed me up for this. Shirou sighed again. Figures. Forget what I said earlier, looks like both of us needs to keep an eye of those two. You can say that again. Still though, the number of contestants here in this event, there are so many archers here. Emiya let out a smirk. Well, of course, the archer class is really made of archers, which usually use bows. If anything, the odd one out of everyone here is you. Because I'm a saber that can use a bow? Exactly. Anyway, the competition's about to start right now. We need to get a move on. Yeah. Soon, both Shirou and Emiya were at the waiting area where the contestants were. The contestants consisted of Chiron, Tomo Guzan, Artemis, Arash, Tristan, and many others. As they did, Shirou can't help but notice that the audience and some of the contestants were looking at him. Shirou let out a small sigh. Fujine, one of these days I'll get you back. My queen, are you alright? Tristan asked, snapping Shirou out of his thoughts. HM? Oh, yeah. I was just in my mind for a moment, Shirou replied. Anyways, good luck with the competition, Tristan. Yeah. You too, my queen, Tristan replied with a smile on his face. As Tristan walked away, Tomo Guzan went up to Shirou and greeted him. Let's have a good match, Emiya Shirou, she said with a smile on her face. Yeah. Let's have a fair match, Tomo. Soon, Nero's voice was heard over the intercom. Alright. Now that everything is now set up, let the archery event begin. Soon, all the contestants brought out their personal bows and grabbed a certain number of arrows from a nearby basket. As they did, they got into a line where there was a giant bullseye target in front of them along with a scoreboard. It was then Arash started the event as he prepped his bow. He then stayed in the position for a few seconds before he shot the arrow right at the bullseye. Afterwards, he continued this action until he was out of arrows. As he did, a score was shown on the scoreboard. Arash's total score is 48 points. Arash let out a small sigh. 47 points, HM, not bad, although I could do better. Soon, the others began to do the same thing as Arash did, and the points they earned varied between them. Tristan earned 46 points, Chiron earned 48 points, Artemis got 48 points, and Tomo earned 45 points. Eventually, the number of people who haven't gone up yet were slowly diminishing. Well, looks like it's almost my turn. Shirou thought as he looked at Emiya, who was shooting his last arrow. Archer's total score is 49 points. Archer let out a small sigh of relief as he began to walk towards Shirou. As he did, he let out a small smirk. Well, try to beat that, he whispered as he walked by him. At that moment, Shirou suddenly felt competitive for some unknown reason. Soon, it was his turn to shoot the arrows. As he did, there was one thing that was common in his attempts. They all directly hit the bullseye target. For a moment, there was silence in the stadium as Shirou was shooting his arrows with perfect accuracy. Soon, he was out of arrows and Nero yelled out the score. My Preter's total score is a perfect 50 points. As Shirou was walking away from the target, he passed by Emiya with a smirk on his face. Well, looks like I beat you, he said. Emiya was stunned. Well, I'll be damned. And that's how the archery event ended, with a saber-class servant winning with encouragement from his alternate counterpart, who happens to be an archer. Meanwhile, with Ritsuka and the others, Olga Marie looked at the event in shock. What did I just see? Ritsuka let out a small chuckle. Well, director, you saw Shirou beat the archers at their own game. But this is an archery event, and he's a saber-class servant. Gudako muttered. Who can also use the bow, Da Vinci said with a smirk on her face. Olga Marie and Gudako were speechless. Meanwhile, Romani had one word to say. Wow, he said. Fo said. Jaguar Man was practicing her swings with excitement with her Torai Shurnai. Alright. It's been a while since I've been in a kendo match, so I'm really excited about this, she thought excitedly. It was then she heard her name being called from the speaker, telling her that her turn was up. Looks like my turn is up. Time to unleash the Torai Shurnai. Soon, Jaguar Man immediately got onto the kendo stage. As she did, she immediately saw her opponent, who was Musashi. As the two met, Musashi let out a smile. Let's have a good match, Jaguar Man, she said with a smile on her face. Yeah, but just to let you know, I have never lost a kendo match in my entire life. And with this Tora Shurnai in my hands, I'll never lose, she boasted. Musashi's grin grew even further. Really? That sounds interesting. Well, in that case, I won't hold back. In that case, the same can be said about me too. Soon, both brought out their shurnai and were in a fencing position. For a few minutes, nothing happened between the two. Then a ding was heard, signaling the beginning of the match. Ha! Musashi yelled. Chesto! Jaguar Man yelled. Within that moment, both servants lunged at each other, clashing with their shurnai. After the clash, they both ended up in opposite sides of the arena. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Tora shurnai broke into half, shocking Jaguar Man. Ah! My Tora shurnai, she yelled as she was getting teary-eyed. Musashi heard Jaguar Man's yell and turned around. Hey, sorry. It was then that Jaguar Man earned her first official loss, and her precious Tora shurnai was broken in the process. Wow. We're already at the 5th event already. Ritsuka said as he looked down at the giant swimming pool along with the servants that were there. Indeed, and all of the servants who signed up seemed to do their best, Mashu said. Although, there were some servants I did not expect to win in some events. Yeah. I never knew that Assassin was able to win a running race, although how though? I don't know either. Meanwhile, Da Vinci was having a smile on her face. Wow, I've never seen so much excitement in one event. You can say that again. This is the first time I've ever seen something like this, with my own eyes, Romani replied. Yeah. Normally I wouldn't consider something like this, but the amount of funding this will make for Chaldea will be worth it, Olga Marie said. Fo said. Meanwhile, at the swimming pool, Ishtar was stretching at the pool. As she did, it was then a certain servant came up to her, making her sigh. What do you want, Astria? She asked. HM? Oh, nothing. I'm just wondering how a goddess like you is in this event. Astria said. And what about you? I'm surprised that you joined this event. Do you even know how to swim? Astria let out a smug grin. Of course. While you spend your time being useless, I spend my time training myself. What? Why you? She yelled as she threw a punch at Astria, which hit her in the face. Hey! How dare you hit me, you gorilla? Astria yelled. However, before they could even fight, an announcement was made from the speakers. Umu. The swimming event will start soon, so get into your assigned lanes. Both Ishtar and Astria lowered their fists. TCH, looks like we'll settle this with swimming, Ishtar said. Yeah. Seems so, Astria replied. Soon, both were at their designated lanes along with many other servants that can swim. They then got into a position and waited for the signal to start swimming. On your mark, get set, go. Soon, everyone jumped into the pool and began to swim to the other side of the pool as fast as they can. Within a few minutes, all contestants reached the other side of the pool and began to head back where they came from. Within that time, both Ishtar and Astria were tied for first place and they were heading towards where they came from. Soon they were getting close to the finish line. And they had one thought in mind. I'll be the one who'll win this event. Eventually, both reached the finish line. However, it was unclear who was the winner, because both reached it at the same time. Upon reaching the end of the pool, Ishtar and Astria got out of the pool and yelled, "It's my win," in unison. Noticing that their rival said the same thing, both Ishtar and Astria glared at each other. Huh? You won? No, I won. Stop copying me. Huh? You want to fight? Well then, bring it on, they yelled at each other at the same time. And they began to fight. Back where Ritsuka and the others were. Ritsuka let out a sigh. Well, here we go again, he muttered. Mashu sighed as well. These two will never get along. Speaking of which, should we stop them? Yes. I have a bad feeling about this, Da Vinci muttered. Wow, two goddesses having a fist fight over a small thing, that's new. Olga Marie said. You can say that again, Gudako said. Indeed. This is the first time I've seen two goddesses fight each other like this, Romani said. Fo said. Okay. This was a bad idea, Ritsuka yelled as he hid behind the desk. Yeah. Shot put and berserkers are a bad idea. Especially when it comes to the one with the big muscles, Da Vinci yelled. And especially if the balls are made out of metal, Gudako yelled. Right now, the event Ritsuka and the others were overlooking was the shot put event, and it was a disaster. Why? Simple, almost everyone that signed up for the event were berserkers with huge muscles, which immediately means chaos. By the root, why did this happen? Olga Marie yelled as she dodged an incoming shot put ball. To be fair, we should have expected this, but we got caught up in the excitement, Da Vinci as she slowly peeked at what was happening. However, the moment she peeked, a shot put ball quickly came for her. Eep, she yelled as she dodged. Mel. This is crazier than I expected, Romani yelled. Fo said. Meanwhile, back at the shot put event, Berserker Hercules was having the time of his life, throwing the shot put balls as hard as he can with a smile on his face. And right behind him was a line of berserkers, eager for their turn. Soon the Olympics was coming to an end, and right now, the event was at its finale. Right now, Shirou along with a few others were getting their medals. As Shirou and a few others were waiting to get their medals, he couldn't shake of the earlier feeling of being watched by the entirety of Chaldea. Well, this is price of being involved in one of Fujine's antics. Soon, it was his turn to be called up to receive his archery gold medal. As he arrived at the podium, a member of Chaldea handed him a gold medal with a smile on his face. Shirou accepted the medal with a smile on his face as well. As he turned around to see the crowd, he was suddenly felt a sense of pride within himself. Honestly, this feeling isn't bad, he thought with a smile on his face. It was then that he, along with many other gold winners, were taken a photo to commemorate the results of the first Chaldea Olympics. Meanwhile with Ritsuka and the others. Well, that was quite fun to watch, Romani said with a chuckle. You can say that again. Although we had to fix a few things, along with a few berserkers, Da Vinci said. You don't have to mention the damages and the berserkers, Olga Marie said with a groan, remembering the berserkers' shot put attempts. Well then, the Olympics are over, huh? Gudako asked. Yup. Senpai, should we do this again next year? Mashu asked. Ritsuka let out a small sigh. Well, let's find out and see in the future, Fo said.